This episode of Stupid Musician Text is brought to you by Cali Audio. Hey everybody, how's it going? So I've preempted this week's edition of SMG Viewers Comments to bring you the much anticipated episode of Stupid Musician Text. It's been roughly 8 months since the last one. You'd think after 24 episodes of this series, musicians would finally smarten up. You would think, anyway. Well, the one undeniable truth I've learned over the years of working with musicians is that they are their own very special breed. A breed where things like common sense are in short supply. Now, before we get going, if you could do me the favor of hitting those like and subscribe buttons, that would allow me to keep making these shows. And don't forget to share this with your friends. Or better yet, share it with your enemies, especially if they bought themselves a Clark Technic 2 BQ. More on that later, with bold type being on the moron part. Because you guys requested it and I can finally deliver the goods. We've got the very first Stupid Engineer text coming up at the end of the episode. Let's get right to it.
Do you do album art?
Yes. Would you be interested in some?
Yeah, bro. You don't charge, right?
If you want album art, you have to pay for it.
You a clown on God.
Now, one of the common themes on the show has been musicians dreaming up new and creative ways to avoid paying someone. You want me to pay for that? You out of your fucking mind?
I just impromptu made an impressively good rock tune. Do you mind if I can get an opinion?
You can have an opinion, but I'm working off a tier system now. Completely honest opinion, $19.99. Mostly honest opinion, $9.99. Barely honest opinion, $4.99. I say some random shit that may or may not pertain to what you've asked to check out, free.
I'll take free.
You've selected free tier. Please send media to get your opinion.
Drums are still super loopy. I haven't really put time into the fine details yet. I basically spent the most time on that delay. XD.
I've always wondered that if giraffes were able to breathe fire, it would start at their mouths or at the bottom of their throat, so they'd basically have to puke out fire for self-defense. Personally, I think the mouth because it seems like evolutionary fault to burn your throat every time a lion is near.
Paying for artwork is one thing, but paying for an opinion, though? Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, that's the great thing about the internet. There's no shortage of opinions. Although I gotta say, this one's kind of clever. I am curious what he would have got with the $19.99 package, though. Would it actually have done him any good? But with the amount of engineers giving away their work for free these days, at least kudos to this guy for attempting to make a buck.
Can you add more audio blur?
Give me reverb.
Yes?
In 22 years of making records, I have never once heard it called audio blur. I just don't understand that level of ignorance. It's not like there's tons and tons of recording tutorials on YouTube. Just type in SMG Audio Basics and I'll explain to you all the fundamental concepts you were too embarrassed to ask about. It takes almost no effort and it is worth your time. But I get it, learning is hard, especially when you've got Netflix to watch and weed to smoke. Next up, we've got a very interesting post from a religious fanatic. Not a fanatic who follows a fictional deity in the traditional Abrahamic sense, but this is more the case of worshipping a golden calf. But instead of a calf, it's something far more mundane, a Kemper amp profiler.
Expensive VST in a cool looking enclosure. It's a lot more than an expensive VST. A VST needs to be loaded into a DAW. The DAW adds latency and you're going to be slave to that latency. Yes, you can turn your buffer down, but that just turns latency down and it's not latency free. The Kemper is a full system that allows you to use IRs alongside many effects and play it in real time. It has a place in the studio for sure where it allows you to play and record guitars latency free even if you have ozone on the master. And on top of that, it sounds really incredible. Also, the Kemper doesn't only model guitar amps, it models a lot of things like preamps or exotic types of speakers and signal chains. And talking about profiles, the Kemper is fully capable on its own to create a new profile of anything you throw at it. For a guitar or bass player, it is really a workhorse that is absolutely unrivaled at this point. Oh yeah, and you can just connect it to a cam and go play a show with it. Good luck doing that with a VST.
I've often been the subscriber to the philosophy that the length of a post often determines how much of it is complete bullshit. There's no doubt the Kemper sounds great, but it costs $1,800 and modern VSTs in 2020 are really beginning to give it a run for its money at a fraction of the price. Of course, your average Kemper fanatic will deny this till the end of time. They're not exactly the most tolerant bunch when it comes to new ideas, but at least they haven't burned anyone at the stake for blasphemy. Yet. The underlying theme here is never underestimate the lengths that some people will go to validate their purchases, especially when they bought into the mythology and are worshiping an inanimate object. All right, everybody, this episode is brought to you by Cali Audio. And that's because the one question I get over and over again is, Glenn, what freaking monitor should I get? I don't have a lot of money. Well, that's where Cali Audio comes in with their amazing LP6 monitors. These go for a whopping $149 each at Sweetwater. They're self-powered, 80 watts, and have an adjustable EQ so you can place them in various spots around your room. On speaker stands, on a desktop, close to a wall. These are made to work in real-world situations, like you're in. What's more is they'll give you a reliable source to mix on so you can trust your ears. If you're just getting started in recording and you need something awesome and affordable, check out the LP6s. Links are in the description below. Now back to the stupid.
At this point, I'm convinced that this is the video that's gonna blow me up on YouTube.
Fuck you. Don't ever fucking insult Deathcore again. If you hate Deathcore, I will fucking find out where you live and I will violently rip your skin off, throw you in a bathtub of salt and whiskey, and then pour boiling water into the tub until you beg to be killed. Blah, 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 whatever. Fear us. We are the destruction of innocence. We are the violence embedded in flesh. We are the pain, the bones of the mortar shell, the dark heart of the earth. We are hell.
All right, first up, apologies for the bleeps. The YouTube censorship regime has really clamped down on this kind of shit, and I don't really want to risk having my channel deleted because I quoted some deathcore kid throwing a temper tantrum. I've never understood that. Threaten somebody for having a different opinion? Unfortunately, we see it all too often where a certain group of people are attacked for not agreeing with something. Whether it's being an atheist, not liking deathcore, giving the Spider 5 an honest review. But that kid sure managed to get his point across. And wow, am I ever now scared of deathcore kids. They are truly a terrifying force to be reckoned with, and the entire world is now sufficiently intimidated. Dude, I hope you got out all that rage before your mom put you to bed.
Could anyone explain me what does changing the BPM in FL Studio does, and why should I change it?
Put it on 900 BPM. Make beat go zzz.
That's why I switched to Ableton. It doesn't have that. I switched to Audacity because of that.
All right, this might not be stupid, but more falls into the category of just being really fucking lazy. I mean, how hard is it to hit the Help tab at the top of an app and read a bit about the interface that you're working with? BPM means beats per minute. In other words, how fast or slow your song goes. Do I really need to make some tutorials at the entry level? Is that something you guys want to see? Let me know in the comments below. Next up, let's check out this ad for what's soon to be the next driving force in rock music.
What's up, y'all? Our shitty band needs a drummer. We sound like Weezer mixed with Black Flag with Beatles harmonies and Stooges guitar solos. Giant hooks, loud guitars. We also do a lot of covers, so we need someone who knows how to play extremely well. No flashy drummers. Bonham, Ringo, etc. I can send music, but I'm not gonna post it on here. We're trying to knock everybody's teeth out when LA opens up, so hit me up. Must drink alcohol, must smoke pot. If not, fuck off.
Dude, seriously? Do you want to do music or you just want to party? Rock history is littered with the bodies of those who took substance abuse too far. My suggestion, make writing great songs your priority and maybe worry just a little bit less about which bandmate is going to be your drinking buddy.
You're not soloing in the same key.
Jazz, man. Blues.
That's blues, not jazz.
Not jazz. I know it was a joke. I flow between keys.
You're supposed to change with the chord changes.
I know, but I don't do what I'm supposed to be. I make my own sound. I think it's great. Sounds like jazz.
It sounds bad. You're playing in two keys that are different.
It sounds like SRV. Who doesn't give a damn about music theory? I don't either, BTW. No, you don't. You can make your own sound by going outside. Your discipline says I did that freely. I love my sound, which is my own, made that riff up on the spot. Thumbs up.
Ah, fucking hell. I've certainly dealt with this bullshit way too many times in the studio. Now, just to be perfectly clear, I flow between keys is musician speak for I'm too fucking lazy to learn things properly. And there is literally no fucking excuse for not learning your scales anymore. We've got access to amazing tools like the Fret Zealot or online resources like ultimateguitar.com. The knowledge is out there for the taking. All you have to do is apply yourself. And of course, when it comes to musicians, we all know that's gonna happen.
How about we stop using drum samples that sound unoriginal, bland, and shit, and start recording some live drums for a fucking change?
How about you stop with this fucking shit and get the fuck off this page if you're gonna start this nonsense of yours, LOL. There are samples that are for the people in their bedrooms with a limited budget that can't just go out and buy a drummer at the corner store.
And here, ladies and gentlemen, is Exhibit A of typical gent fanboy who sucks on peripheries cock. People like you are the reason why modern music receives no respect.
I'd rather be brutally honest to other people than tell them to step up their game and hire a drummer, because the consumers deserve better. You can suck your own cock. In the name of Glenn Fricker, autotune and drum samples are passed to the dark side. It's like telling your potential customers, you're not worth the effort, but buy this half-assed attempt at music anyway. You're too quick to judging, well, maybe I have a real band with real musicians, with real songs written by real musicians, played by real people, and these samples are a way for the band to write together in between jams, and everything else that goes on with having a real band with real people. Ha! Dum-dum, LOL. Spoken by someone who doesn't know how to properly spell maybe. But then again, concerning you're a bass player, things like that tend to slip by pretty easily. Plus, maybe does not equal certain. I'm fresh, fuck off! In the name of Glenn Fricker, rule number 2, your bass player is a useless cock, and if you didn't get that, that is you. Maybe I'm the type of bass player that writes the lines for the rest of the band. LOL, haters will be hating, that's fine. I don't know what's more stupid, whether it's you who promote the use of drum samples to kill off the human element of modern music, or the fact that you actually found bandmates who are gullible enough to rely on a bass player to write their parts. Haha, that's right, maybe I'm just that good, lol. You seem to know exactly where I stand with my music. Haha, you figured me out, LOL. LOL, I am sure I did, considering you're still using those 4-year-old dead-sounding bass strings. I'm sure you sound oh so fucking amazing. All this trash talking is great, haha, because none of this really matters, haha.
Has it really got to the point where I'm being quoted in random internet pissing contests? Gotta love that one part, though. Maybe I'm the type of bass player that writes the lines for the rest of the band. But we all know the truth. Maybe not. Now, of course, I've saved the best for last because many of you butthurt musicians out there have been whining for years. Where are the stupid engineer techs? Now, because engineers generally have a little bit more going on upstairs than your average Sid Vicious wannabe, they've been very difficult to find. That is, until now.
I've been seeing a lot of people offering their services for free, and I think I can go further. I'm not only offering mixing and mastering services for free, but I'll pay you $5 to mix and master your song. This provides me with a great experience plus exposure. Send me a message for additional packages and portfolio. It finally happened. The race to the bottom has finally been won.
Dude, what the fuck are you thinking? If you want to get started working with bands, that's great. I always recommend doing a project or two for free at the beginning of your career to get your feet wet. But you're signing up to have musicians come into your studio and pay them for the privilege of wasting your time. Seriously, dude, have some fucking pride. You'd be better off selling handjobs on the street than degrading yourself like this. The last one here is truly and utterly stupid. Someone listed his supercharged Clark Technic tube EQs as a selling point to come work in his studio.
Mastering 3-minute song equals 30 pounds. Working on new music and need help making your track sound mind-blowing? Get in touch with me to discuss your project and how great it can sound. You should use another photo. Those KT EQs are getting blasted for being a pile of shite. In reality, sound like complete garbage. You don't want to give the wrong impression after all. They are now my secret weapons for mojo.
You clearly haven't used one of them then. There's a reason they're hard to find on the second-hand market and go for 2 to 3 times of their original RRP.
Those KT EQs are shit. Nothing close to a Pultec. They're modded heavily. New tubes doesn't polish a third. That's why these are supercharged. KT EQPs are great. They're always spoken highly of by big names on gear slides, and I've got a pair myself. Even in bypass, running audio through them is great. And if you're surprised by the open air inside, you probably haven't opened up much hardware.
Having used them against things like original Pultec modded with ceramic tube holders and Telefunken tubes and a bunch of other shit, Manley and even a Focusrite Blue 315, different cat altogether, I know, they're shown up just to be awful, cheap, nasty EQs that smash the dynamics and hurt anything I put through them and choked when used for mastering. Out of curiosity, how did you make your Clark Technic Pultec sound good? You mentioned supercharging them. With what?
Hi! I've had the power sections and tubes replaced for mastering I run on bypass, as the purpose for me is to add some depth with them coming out of the digital, etc. What kind of music do you work with?
Now, for those of you who are not familiar, I reviewed that exact same EQ a few weeks ago, and after some careful, controlled scientific tests, I made a few modifications of my own. That's because changing the tubes out and putting a supercharged sticker on the front panel won't make it sound better! The thing's fucking terrible! And it's placed last in every single shootout we use it in. Hell, the plug-in we shot it out against sounded better. Make no mistake, you can roll a turd in glitter, but it's still going to stink like shit. You are not going to fool anybody with this. You want people to come record in your studio? Don't advertise the subpar gear you're using. And That line about them going for 2 to 3 times the retail on the used market? What absolute bullshit. The real reason you don't see them on the used market is because they wound up in the dumpster where they fucking belong! Just because it looks like the unit it's copying does not mean it sounds like the unit it's copying. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Now, this show relies on you, the viewers, so if you've got an awesomely stupid text you'd like to share with the whole world, follow the link in the description below and submit yours. Thanks again to Cali Audio for sponsoring this episode. Make sure to check out their website if you're looking for awesome monitors to get started on. And as I sign off, remember this: the music business is fun, but it's still a business. Make sure that you pay the people that you want to work with for their services.